tea and the hot buffet. Movies roll like fresh all day. Time entertainment TV. Where the fun and the facts agree. Sit back, relax, and you'll see.
Hello, hello.
TV. Where the fun and the facts agree. Sit back, relax, and you'll see. Unfolds, the plot gets thick. Celebrity cases real and slick. Breaks down quick as a flick.
All right. Tell me how you like that. That's an AI generated song for my channel. I'm trying to work and get it a thing. I can't sing worth a lick. So I just see I went and tried a little bit of something. Trying to use AI as a positive thing rather than trying to take somebody's job and whatnot. So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV. Listen, this is the last This Week in Celebrity News of 2025. We'll be going into 2026. There will be pretty much a new format, trying to get some more theme music, trying to get some more stuff. I've been working on another platform outside of the yard of the stream. Just because the yard of the stream is getting expensive. And so, and as this is part-time for me, right now I can't justify that cost. But make sure as you all are coming in, make sure y'all are hitting that like button. And if you like what you see, please subscribe. Also, this will be the last starting in January. When I start reviewing movies and television series, I will be doing that on my second channel, which is PETV_reacts. I'll be doing all of my reviews over that on that channel. I'm excited about that. I think because I've kept this channel more of a celebrity news, celebrity legal news, and I have a lot of followers in regards to that. I don't want to neglect my followers that were following me for movie and television reviews. So I am going to put that on that channel, and it will be dedicated if you're following me for my movie and television reviews. It will be on that channel. And again, it is PETV_reacts. All right. So I'm not going to go over a whole big old thing. We've got a compact show. So I want to make sure that I keep it moving, keep it going. So let's talk about it again. And again, as I've said before, make sure you all hit that like button. So, as I was coming on to finding topics to talk about, we understand that Anthony Joshua had been injured yesterday while he was visiting his family in Nigeria. So, exactly what happened is as follows. I will pull this article up and we'll go over it real quick. And as y'all are entering, please make sure y'all are hitting that like button. I really do appreciate it. So it looks like Anthony Joshua was injured in a car crash in Nigeria, and then within this accident, 2 people were unalived. It is if you're not familiar with who Anthony Joshua is, Anthony Joshua was the guy that was fighting Jake Paul, and he beat Jake Paul, and in the subsequently of that fight, it seems like Jake Paul will not be fighting again. It appears that he broke his jaw in 2 different places. Hey, what's up? He broke his jaw in two places, and I don't know if him having his jaw broke like that will allow for him to come back. Simply because you break your jaw, now your jaw is not as strong as it was as before. So anyway, Anthony Joshua, Nigerian-born boxer and former world heavyweight champion, he suffered minor injuries on Monday in a car crash in Nigeria. Now, remember, Nigeria time is ahead of ours, anywhere from 8 to 9 hours. So this happened for them 8 or 9 hours ago. So he was traveling in the back of a Lexus SUV on the Lagos uh, Abadan Expressway near Sagamu, his ancestral hometown, when the vehicle was involved in a collision around 11 a.m. local time. It says here, quote from the Ogun State Police, the vehicle conveying Anthony Joshua, a Lexus SUV, was involved in an accident under circumstances that are currently being investigated. They say that he was seated in the rear of the vehicle, so he was not driving as speculated earlier. Because when I first saw this story, people were saying, oh, he was driving and he made, all of this other stuff, and he unalived somebody. But that's not what they're saying. They said that he was sitting in the back, in the rear of the vehicle, and he sustained minor injuries and is receiving medical attention. It says tragically, 2 other passengers in the vehicle lost their lives at the scene. Police also told ESPN that Joshua's vehicle hit a stationary truck parked along a road. It had not been confirmed which vehicle the 2 people who were unalived were in. It happened as a result of a burst tire. So apparently the tire on the SUV that Joshua was riding in exploded. It burst. It went flat. Whatever happened to it, and the driver couldn't correct properly, and they had this accident. Hello there. How are you? Thank you, officer. So, keep Mr. Joshua and his parents and his family whose loved ones were lost in that accident. Please keep them in their prayers. Again, a lot of times when things happen on social media, people who want to be first always want to say some crazy odd things. And I know some of the crazy odd things that I've been hearing was, oh, Jake Paul was responsible for the accident. He caused this. I don't have any indication. Jake Paul is trying to heal. He's got a toe up jar. I don't think that through all of that he was worried about Anthony Joshua at this point in time. He may have been, but I don't think to the point where he's going to have someone do something to the tires. I think that that's just, again, that's social media always coming out and trying to speculate certain things and stuff like that, which is sad to me. But yeah, Anthony Joshua, has minor injuries from an accident that he had. Y'all are doing way too much for the gram. Why is y'all trying to get why are y'all trying to get Nicki Minaj deported? Oh my goodness. So, according to Rolling Out, some fans have started a petition to have Nicki Minaj deported. Now, some fans want the superstar spitter to be returned to her place of birth, which is in Trinidad. Now, what has sparked all of this? Now, you all know Nicki Minaj. She had that huge hit Monster, and everybody can sing and recite that verse she had. And she's been on top of the female rap game probably for 15, 20, probably about 10, 15 years unopposed. And in all of that, everyone loves themselves. Everyone loved themselves some Nicki Minaj, but Nicki Minaj has done and said some very controversial things. A couple of controversial things that for me that were egregious. Number one, she married an SA offender, and then she assisted in her SA offender harassing his victim. I wasn't too cool with that. All of this back and forth between her and Cardi B and her and every rap girly that has come behind her, whether it be Lotto, whether it be Meg Thee Stallion, whoever it is, all of that stuff is rap beef. I don't have any issue with that. They can go back and forth to the hills. But I had issues with that. Some of her fans have had issues with her change of heart in regards to, I guess, her political stance. Well, first of all, I don't know what her political stance was prior to this, because she usually didn't talk about her political stance, as I recall. Because, like I said, I'm not her in her fan base like that. But recently, Nicki Minaj went to the UN and she discussed the unalivings of Christians, and she said that Christians were being attacked in Nigeria. She also was found on Turning Point. I think it was Amerifest. I think is what it was called. And her fans were very upset about her attending that Amerifest, particularly in the fact that she was invited by Erica Kirk, who is the widow of Charlie Kirk. And her fans, knowing that Charlie Kirk did not like her music. And she got up there. She was praising Trump. She was praising JD Vance. And that's a whole nother situation in itself. But anyway, so a lot of her fans were a little upset. And so once you upset, I guess even if the Barb's head B is can be attacked by the Barb. So they started digging and digging and digging, and they found out, because she says that she's from New York and that she's of Trinidadian descent. But what we find out is that she is her and her mother, her mother and her blah, blah, blah. Nikki's family immigrated from Trinidad. She still has her Trinidadian citizenship. She has not become a naturalized citizen, from what my understanding is. And so we have some fans that are asking for her to be returned to her base. They want her her visa to be revoked. Now, I'm quite sure, with her going back and forth in and out of the country, with her having all those things, I'm quite sure that all of her paperwork is up to date. But let's see what they're saying. It says Nicki Minaj has never been a stranger to controversy, but the latest chapter in her public saga feels especially surreal, even by internet standards. In recent weeks, chatter across social media platforms and message boards have coalesced around a startling idea: a petition calling for the rap star to be deported from the United States back to Trinidad, her country of birth. The reason why they want her deported: the incendiary language and unverified claims in the petition can evoke concerns about fairness and justice among the audience, underscoring emotional stakes. Despite its shaky foundation, the petition has gained traction. What began with a few thousand signatures now reportedly crossed the 30,000 mark. So she got 30,000 folks that want her gone. In the attention economy of the internet, numbers matter less for the impact and more for what they symbolize: momentum, visibility, and a collective outrage. The petition, which circulated widely online, reads more like a collage of internet grievances than a legal document. It pulls together a range of accusations and anxieties from Minaj's highly publicized disputes involving Jay-Z, Beyonce, uh, renewed scrutiny of her husband, Kenneth Petty, uh, wrapped inside a grab bag of outrage. And all of this I do believe a lot of this has to do with her being seen on stage with Erica Kirk. So y'all are sitting here wanting Nicki Minaj gone. And make sure again that you all are hitting that like button. Uh I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And so I had this story on deck for a while, but as we've gotten to the end of the year, and a lot of these stories, well, except for the first one, I wanted to get in before. So let's go over this one really quick by Deadline. If you are a fan of 90s television shows, you would have been a fan of A Different World, which had Kadeem Hardison, Jasmine Guy, Cree Summer. What's Will Smith's wife's name? I see her face, but her name escapes me. Jada Pinkett Smith. They were all there, and if you're not familiar with it, it was a show about a group of young black children, black American children, uh, who graduated from high school and they were going to college, and they were chronicling their experience in college, particularly at an HBCU. And so we found out a few months ago that A Different World, there's going to be a sequel, not necessarily a reboot, but a sequel chronicling the children of these people who went to school in the 90s. But initially, it was understood that it was just going to be that chronicling of a new school, like A Different World, the new school, or whatever. But what we find out is that we're going to have some cameos. Kadeem Hardison and Jasmine Guy, who, as the last that we saw, they had gotten married and moved out. They have a child that is going to be going to Hillman. And so we're going to see them reprise their role. We're going to see Cree Summers reprise her role as Freddie Brooks. It's my understanding that I think that she is going to be a professor there. Daryl M. Bell is going to be there. I think one of his children is going to be going. So it's going to be nice to see the originals come and give support to the new cast. Are you all going to be looking forward to watching A Different World? I think it's going to be on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Uh, for the Netflix spinoff spin-it series. I want to see the single camera comedy will have 10 half-hour episodes from showrunner and executive producer Felicia Pride and Debbie Allen, who produced, directed, and acted in the OG series. I'm trying to see if they're saying Netflix ordered a pilot back in March, followed by an order to series last month. Deadline broke the news in late August. So y'all go and watch that. I was trying to see when they think that they were going to pull it out. They don't have it in this article when they think that they're going to pull it out. So if y'all are interested again, if y'all are interested in the old school reboot of A Different World, y'all check that out and on Netflix when it comes out. I'm thinking it's probably going to be within the next year or so. All right. Again, for those of you all that are just watching and you have been following me for my movie and TV reviews, please note that I will be doing these movie and TV reviews on my second channel, which is on the screen, which is PETV_reacts here on YouTube. Please go follow my channel there. I will be doing those reviews there. And if I get at least 200 of you all to follow me over, I'd appreciate it, because that way I can go live, and I can go live as the show is happening or as I'm watching the show, and we could talk about it and go back and forth and have a good time. All right. So let's go over my last topic, and this is just the year in review. Just going over some of the things in pop culture at the interview. We just talked about Nicki Minaj going over to Turning Point, which happened earlier this month. So let's talk about some of the things from the beginning of the year in pop culture. This is an article from USA Today. And I think I have one from NBC. Yes. And from NBC as well. Let's go over the NBC article to see what we have. So we are going to be talking about 2025, a year in review, and all the different things that have happened in 2025. How did your all's 2025 go? Were there things that happened in 2025 that were not on your bingo list, or was on your bingo list? Did you get a bingo? Did it flow like you thought it was going to flow? I will tell you that this year went by quite quickly. At the beginning of the year, I think for me it was lawsuit central. It was lawsuit central, and I was loving it. Lawsuits from getting up in January, where Blake Lively was suing Justin Baldoni, and then Justin Baldoni countersued, and then he sued the New York Times, and then it was just all back and forth and back and forth. So in January, as far as that lawsuits abound, that was so interesting. And also, I will tell you too, we'll go over some of these stories. You had Tyler Perry being sued at the top of the year. You had the big fallout between Shannon Sharpe and the young lady that sued him, and was able to get about $10 to $20 million of his hard-earned money, because again, a lot of these folks do not have the sexual discipline to they're with large sums of money, with big income comes great responsibility. I'm trying to paraphrase what Uncle Ben said to Spider-Man. Becomes great responsibility. And with that responsibility, you got to have a certain level of discipline. And if you don't have sexual discipline, and then you're out here with all of this money, they will a fool will then soon be parted from his money. So you had Shannon Sharp in that incident. I think towards the middle of the year, we got Diddy in his case, in his trial toward the summer, and in subsequent conviction. We had Smokey Robinson to have a lawsuit out here, several lawsuits out here from former employees saying that he uh SA and SASB, which is battery. We've got a lot of these people having, and a lot of it is this inability to have this discipline that you need for what you're doing. And it seems to me it doesn't even matter if you're married or not, because the conventional thinking is that when a man gets married, he kind of calms down. But obviously that doesn't seem to be the truth, because and there's that. It don't seem to be the truth. So let's go by Angela Yang. She is reviewing her year in review. She's got from Lil Boo Boo to Kenneth Lamar. So let's see what her list is pulling out. The TikTok ban. Now, if you're not familiar with the TikTok ban, back in 2024, somewhere around in March or April of 2024, Congress passed a law that TikTok was a threat to national security. And let me get big so I can say this and be clear. Back in 2024, Congress passed a law that said that TikTok was a threat to national security, because TikTok was owned by ByteDance, and ByteDance is a Chinese company, and therefore, most companies in China, the state owns a percentage of those companies, and so therefore they were saying that it was a problem with national security. And they told TikTok that they had until a certain time to find an American buyer, or the app would go dark in the United States of America. So you had months and months and months of them looking for a buyer. They found a buyer. What was it? Ellison, or whoever it is, the guy that owns Oracle. Now, and they're supposed to be doing a deal. Now, last January, TikTok went down for less than a day and came back up. And I think what we have subsequently found out, that happened because of the fact that it was no longer just going to be on the ByteDance servers. They were switching different servers so that they can then work on trying to get an American buyer and whatnot. And so we've seen this thread of it going dark several times. Now, they were talking about, it's an incidence of national security, but politically, what we have found out, and again, let me be clear when I say all of this stuff, because people were really trying to try you, really trying to try you. These are my opinions, not statements of fact. I'm just telling you, these are my opinions and what I think it is. I think a lot of this had to seriously have to do with the unpleasantness and the pruning from the timeline of those people over there in Gaza. And it had everything to do, I think, with Israel, and they wanted controlling the narrative of Israel. And so I think it had a lot to do, because TikTok was the wild west. You were getting to see the news, you were getting to see everything in real time. Now what's happening is everything, if something big happens into the news, now what they do is flood your timeline with stuff that you saw maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, until they can, so that you won't comment or say anything about what the actual news that's happening. In those critical hours, you won't get the news to 7, 8, 9, 10 hours later, and by that time, a narrative, a government-controlled narrative, have been placed down. So this is what I think that what's going on, because the free speech in the United States has to be regulated and go through Israel. And so you were talking about China being a national security problem, but now you want Israel to be able to filter what Americans can hear and say and do or anything like that. So free speech in the United States of America is under attack, and it's being controlled and operated by a whole nation state called Israel. And they're doing a bang up job because they are going through all levels of government, trying to make anytime you say anything about them uh anti-Semitic or a hate crime. So I just think as Americans, we need to be very conscious and be very serious about stuff like that, because people are trying to silence your voices. And if you're not familiar with that, they did the same thing back in the late 40s and the 50s, trying to silence you, and calling you a communist. That used to be the biggest bad word. And now, if you say or do or interact with anything with Israel, that seems to be uh, a level of where you need to be censored. You can't say anything about them. Which I think, if you really want to know the truth about it, I think that might be the best thing that could happen. And here's what I'm saying: because the more that you don't talk about them, the more that they don't become as relevant as they think that they are, and they'll fade out of the consciousness. The only thing is that they want to control what you hear and what you say. But let's continue. So that TikTok ban, child, a mess. Let's get back to this. So inevitably, what's going to happen? I think that TikTok is going to go the way of Instagram. It's going to go the way of Facebook. There are going to be people on there, but it's not going to be that thing. And there's going to be another. Watch what I tell you. There is going to be another app that's going to come out, because again, we've got Gen Alpha coming through. There's going to be another app, and that's where they're going to go, and that's where they're going to go, and they're going to try to do this all over again, trying to figure out how they can control it. Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show. You all remember that, and you also remember that Aubrey Drake had sued Kendrick back in 2024. Well, he didn't sue Kendrick; he sued UMG and Spotify and iHeartRadio, because he was saying that they were all colluding to keep him and his streaming numbers down, and that they were inflating Kendrick Lamar's numbers, and he thought he could prove it, but the judge dismissed that case. But we'll definitely go over that at a later time. So he does the halftime show. It was a success. It was a success as far as numbers. It was a performance that averaged 133.5 million views. It's the most watched Super Bowl halftime ever recorded, because everybody was wanting to watch to see if he was going to say the infamous words, "Say Drake, I hear you like 'em young." And he did. You had Samuel L. Jackson dressed as Uncle Sam. He narrated the show, which featured cameos from Serena Williams and appearances by SZA and DJ Mustard. Let's keep moving. Labubu craze takes the world by storm. A toothy plush doll that many have described as creepy or even slightly ugly ignited the biggest collectible craze of the year. And Labubu goes by the way of, you remember when Beanie Babies were big about collecting, uh those tachigamis or whatever that was. They were big about collecting. So it comes in the way of this, that Labubus, everybody wanted a doggone Labubu, and people were paying top dollar in money for Labubus. And then they talked about this life-size Labubu that sold for $170,000 in China. Labubu heist have even got local people around in California. And here's that little dog, because a lot of women wear these on their purses. A lot of uh young Gen Z women wear these on their purses and stuff like that. It's almost like it started off almost like a status symbol, and then it just got crazy. Then you had Katy Perry and what's that? Lauren Sanchez, Gail King, and all of them going out into space. Yeah. the summer you had the explosion of K-pop demons hunters. Now, my thing about, because I know that the young people, the Gen Zers and the Gen Alphas, they love themselves some K-pop music and all that other stuff. For me, as a Gen Xer, all of that K-pop music is just repackaged R&B group music, you know, like big groups like the Temptations, New Edition, and then, you know, from those group you had the big pop groups like NSYNC, the Backstreet Boys, One Dimension or 2 Degrees or whatever the names are. But that's what K-pop is to me. It's just a repackaged it's just repackaged R&B for Korean and broader audiences. You got Sydney Sweeney. She talks about becoming a cultural flashpoint with about, you know, about the jeans. What was it? Who was those jeans? American Eagle. With the American Eagle jeans. I don't know. I guess for me, because I'm not somebody that follows Sydney Sweeney like that, I don't know what the biggest of the controversy was. It was an ad campaign by American Eagle. And we have seen controversial ad campaigns in the past. So that wasn't one of those things that really just brought my attention to anything. I mean, I heard it and I heard the discourse about it, and I wasn't just too thing about it, you know. Again, she is blonde and blue-eyed, and everyone loves them a blonde and blue-eyed gal. She's supposed to be the standard of beauty, according to America. And so I think that plus the political climate of it all, I think that's what was going on. And she was in something else too. She was in a level of controversy before, so I'm not sure exactly anything else. Parasocial relationships officially gone too far. So fans have long formed parasocial relationships with celebrities and fictional characters, but this year's online discourse became so toxic that two of the biggest shows of this year, Love Island USA and The Summer I Turned Pretty, issued anti-bullying PSAs to their fandoms. Still, internet sleuths continue to harass Love Island USA contestants for their on-screen behavior, and many turn their grievances with the characters into vitriol for the actors who portrayed them. And so I think that was a lot of discourse. I remember a lot of people talking about Love Island when you had Huda on there and Alandria and I can't think of what the other girl's name. They had a lot of discourse in between all of them people like that. So it's interesting to me, all of this parasocial behavior and people doxing people and finding out information and all of these little think tanks people were having about, oh, who was this couple and who did this and who did that and what was Huda doing. And also Huda was I think her and her boyfriend allowed someone to call Olandria the N-word on their stream, and then all of this back and forth and stuff like that. And people were so invested in these people as if they were close relatives. Now, this was funny to me. I have always got a tickle out of this. I'm telling y'all now, the kiss cam. Y'all remember that? Think piece at a Coldplay concert in July, a married CEO was spotted embracing his chief people officer. When the kiss cam landed on him, the pair immediately hid their faces, prompting lead singer Chris Martin to speculate that they were having an affair. The scandal, which became an overnight sensation, led both the CEO, Andy Byron, and the human resources chief, Kristen Cabot, to resign from the data company Astronomer. I just do not. And y'all let me know. I just don't understand. I just don't understand how you do things. What's up, Andre? I just don't understand how people. You're married, she's married. How y'all thought that was going? How did you all think that you all were just going to be at this Coldplay? You saw the cam going around. if you've ever been to because I've seen them at basketball games where the camera will come around and it will I don't know if back then I don't know if it was called the kiss camera where they were requiring you to kiss, but the camera would come on you at any time in the audience, anytime. And so you after the first person, everyone had like a heads up that somebody else or you might be caught. And so I don't know why you were sitting there at this concert, thought that you all were going to be arm in arm with each other. And your reaction said it all. Your reaction said it all, which caused for the singer to do that. And it's my understanding that he was doing that. Coldplay have been doing this in their concerts, their concert season for the year. So surely, if Coldplay was somebody that you were following, you would have known that this was going to happen. Of course, you should have known that that was going to happen. And and like I said, I don't have that much empathy because again, both of you all were married. You were in relationships with somebody else. If you felt like those relationships were not where you needed to be, you had all the impetus in the world to do a divorce, but you chose not to. You chose to sneak around. And so these are just the consequences of your behavior. We got Taylor Swift now. Again, when we talk about the summer, I did go over the fact that Diddy was convicted under the Mann Act, 2 counts of the Mann Act for transportation folks to different parts of the world and different parts of the country cross state lines for the prostitute. And he had 2 counts and he'd been going back and forth and trying to get bail. They wouldn't offer him bail. And that in September, I believe it was, he was convicted. But let's go in this. We got Taylor Swift entered her showgirl area. And then again, when you talk about the parasocial aspect of this, you had a lot of people online and think pieces talking about the fact that they believe that Taylor Swift and how Taylor Swift has been moving for the past 10, 12, 15 years. She's not 21 anymore. And so the way she's singing and the style that she's singing and the subject matter that she's singing, her fan base is now asking for her to mature a little bit. They ate up her showgirl album. Even to the point where she put out some videos or some audios trying to talk through her process and what she was going through and why she wrote what she wrote when she wrote it. A mess. I'm quite sure that it hit all the sales. It hit all her sales expectations. But I guess she realized with her fan base at this point that they are not allowing for her to continue to be the mediocre white girl anymore. She's gonna have to step her game up. And so that is what I got from that. She took some jabs at it from my understanding. She took some jabs at Travis Kelce's ex, which prompted the ex on Halloween to do the parody of "He Wasn't Man Enough for Me" for Tony Braxton from Tony Braxton. She parodied that in a video, and shout out to her because that allowed for people to get to be, because some people thought, Taylor Swift's fan base thought that Travis Kelce's ex actually was singing the song, and then they realized that was a Tony Braxton song. And so shout out to that because that put a lot more awareness on Tony Braxton and Tony Braxton's music, and to the point now that she's going to be out on tour with New Edition. So we look forward to that. Then you have, with the changing of leadership and with the fact that the FCC, the changing of leadership, also the changing of who is owning certain things, and with with the president coming out and telling news organizations that he didn't want them to be talking about him. He doesn't like late night. He doesn't like anybody in late night. And so he doesn't like for anybody to make any jokes about him. Jimmy Kimmel makes a joke about him. Trump goes off. The man over the FCC, Brendan Carr, uh, has him removed, or he makes a ABC shocked viewers by taking Jimmy Kimmel off the air after Jimmy Kimmel stoked conservative fury and public criticism from the federal communications chair, Brendan Carr, for his jokes following the death of right-wing media personality Charlie Kirk. It was a move that sparked renewed free speech debates, with protesters gathering outside Disney Studios and celebrities threatening to break ties. Within a week, Jimmy Kimmel returned to the air by thunderous audience applause. So we had all of that going on. And we might as well go ahead and say that too. Also, right at the beginning of September, I believe it was September 8th or September 9th, Charlie Kirk, who is a right-wing media person that was pruned from the timeline. They arrested the man that they accused of pruning him from the timeline. And this young man is right now on trial for first-degree murder. Also, at that time, around that same time, there is a singer called David. David had an interesting whole year because a young child, a young teenager, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, was found unalived in the front of his car. No one, the police are continuing to investigate, and they also have a grand jury that they have convened with some information and stuff coming out. But all of this happened around that first part of September, along with the Jimmy Kimmel's suspension. So I wanted to talk about that. Gen Alpha lingo has entered the zeitgeist. This time it's a two numbers, 6 and 7, that have become inescapable in either browsing the internet or talking to younger people. The phrase is often said accompanied by a double hand gesture that looks like a person is weighing two options. The lingo, like many things Gen Alpha say, comes from the internet. As Today.com noted in its explainer, this year 6-7 doesn't mean anything, which means it can mean everything. Teachers have started banning the slang in their classroom, and In-N-Out Burger reported removed the number 6-7 from their ticket order. Now, it it always amazes me when they talk about things being lingos and things like that, and they'll say, oh, this is Gen Alpha lingo. They used to say it's Gen Z lingo. If you're a Black American, you know that a lot of that lingo comes from our community. I remember 6 and 7s and things like that. Don't worry about the 6 and 7s of it all. I remember that's something that Jennifer Lewis said back in The Wiz back in 1977. So I don't know if it's a play off of that, but again, a lot of times, with American culture, it's always disheartening to hear people talk about a certain type of lingo, a certain type of things, and it comes from your community, but they don't want to say that that's where it comes from. They'll just say, oh, it's just Gen Alpha or Gen Z lingo. Tyler Perry, I mentioned him earlier. He had a lawsuit that come out as well. Tyler Perry has a whole nother lawsuit, and I'll be doing a video in regards to that pretty soon once I get my hands on that lawsuit, child. A mess. The Diddy trial comes to the end, and we did talk about that Diddy trial. He was convicted of 2 counts of the Mann Act. He received 50 months in jail. He has already did 12 months time served. So this time, probably next year, he probably will be getting out. Because he did 50 months. And I think he's in a couple of programs that can shave off some time. So 50 months, he would have done 24. Because I think he's got to do at least, 12. Then 12, that's 24. And then they'll shave a couple of months off or whatever. Yeah, so this time next year, or the beginning of the either this time next year or going into 2027, the first part of 2027, he'll be coming out. I mean, I just see that he's going to be coming out. Then we have the thieves that conduct the Louvre heist. And in broad daylight, baby, you talk about brazen, you talk about Brazen. That's the best word I know. So they went into the, if you're not familiar with that story, you have two or three people, from what I understand, it was a group of them that climbed into the Louvre on a ladder, and they were dressed like they were repairmen or whatever, went in and stole a lot of jewels. Maybe they caught the people. And what is with all these well, I guess it doesn't matter how you look. I guess it's bias on my part, because you always look at criminals as being, nefarious looking. But they're getting the treatment of what's that man's name? You remember he was a criminal, and then he became a model, and then he married the, or he's dating, or he married, he left his wife, and then he dated and he married the lady whose father is the CEO or the owner of Harrods in London, I think it is. Something like that. But child, they showed pictures of these guys that broke into the Louvre, and half of them are very decent. They look like they had been modeled. And I said, well, the economy is getting everybody. But they stole a lot of stuff. Jewels tied to Empress Maria Louise, Empress Eugenie, and the 19th century Queen Mary and Hortense still hasn't been recovered. They have taken those jewels, they have broken them down, and they are selling them piece by piece by piece, child. They'll never see those jewels again. David Ellison. I'm not familiar with this story, so I'm just going to read it, okay? David Ellison's quest to dominate American media continues. David Ellison isn't exactly a household name, but this year, Ellison, the 42-year-old media mogul and son of billionaire tech titan Larry Ellison, cemented himself as one of the key figures in a modern Hollywood. His Skydance Media acquired the entertainment conglomerate Paramount in a blockbuster $8 billion deal. But that was just the beginning of his shopping spree. Now I'm familiar. He's now locked into a high stakes battle with Netflix over Warner Brothers, Discovery Film, and television asset. Whoever emerges victorious will have major sway over the future business and what people see on their screens. And again, this is what bothers me about that. Because let me tell you something, because when you talk about media and you talk about journalism, and if you go back, you can go back even 20 years, 20, 30 years. Media wasn't like this because there were laws on the books. The Congress let some of these laws just sunset, but there was a law on the books that companies could not, that could only have like a 40 to 60, it was either 40 or 60% of the media, because of the fact that whoever controls the media controls the narrative, and they wanted people to be able to, when the news media, to be as unbiased as it needed to be. Now what you have is that you have probably six people who now own and who are fighting to own 90% of the media. So when they do that, they control what you see and what you hear. And with them controlling what you see and what you hear, and not only do they want to control the media as far as television and entertainment, they want to control social media as well. And so anything that's outside of what they consider to be the norm, they're not going to push your content. They're not going to push those things, and you don't get to see it. So it's up to the audience to make sure that the content creators that they believe, that you all believe, that are giving you the information in as unbiased way as they can, that you push these people. Because again, what's going to happen is you're going to start to see a lot of mind numbing content that's going to come out within the next probably 3 to 5 years. It's just going to be there's not going to be anything, you're not going to find many things that are going to be educational, you're not going to find anything that's going to be thought provoking, and you're not going to be able to see the truth. It is all going to be packaged, pre-packaged in a certain thing. And if you've been following this stream since the top of the hour that I started, you understand and you know why I'm saying this. And so this is going to be interesting, because they're now wanting to own, because Warner Brothers decided to sell, and they were going to sell to Netflix. Now, selling to Netflix has its issues too, because that's going to affect the movie going audience and the movie going business, because they're wanting everything to be streamed. You can stream it on your phone, you can stream it on your television at home. You don't have to go out into the movie theater. And that's just going to really, I'm of the culture of going to the movies because going to the movies is a form of escapism. And though I like to be at my house, I do like to go to the movies and to know that there are going to be movies. You know, the way that they used to do movies has changed dramatically. And what I mean by that is it used to be when a movie came out in theater, it was in theater 2 or 3 months. Then there was this slight lull, maybe anywhere from 4 or 5 months. Then the movies went to DVD. And then maybe a month or so later, it was streamed on streaming platforms. So you had opportunities, but now what's happening is they've cut out you owning things, and I want you all to be very careful to see what I'm talking about. You know, they cut out the DVDs and the Blu-rays and all that other stuff, so that you don't necessarily own the stuff that you have anymore. People used. I'm one of those people. I like to own a movie because I like to, if I want to see it, I want to be able to put it in my Blu-ray player and play it at the time that I want to see it. I don't want to have to be streaming through a streaming service to find it. And oh, if I don't have that streaming service, I got to pay that streaming service to see that movie. I don't want to have to do that. I want to be able to have a physical copy, especially if it's a movie that I like and I would like to watch again. I would like to see that. I would like to have a physical copy of that, but they're doing away with physical copies. And so what's happening, and that's what's happening in the streaming world. People started doing streaming because it was supposed to be cheaper than cable. But what we're seeing right now, and shout out to Bluminati who pointed this out, is that, streaming services is just as expensive as cable, because Warner Brothers own this franchise, and Disney owns this franchise, and uh Paramount owns this front, and each one of these studios has their own streaming service. So you're not, it's different from having the HBOs and the Showtimes and the Stars and even the Netflix and the Cinemax. It was different because those streaming services would play certain movies at certain time. They would play the same movies, but they may play it at a different time. So if you had one of those, you had the opportunity to see it. But now, in order for you to see a movie or anything like that, you've got to go to specific streaming service. And if you're an absent-minded person and you're not paying attention, but I know you're not now because of the way the economy is, you may be paying for 5, 6, 7, 8 streaming services, and before you know it, you're paying $300, $400 a month, because this streaming service is $29.99, and it'll be $29.99 because they don't want you to, where you're getting these streaming services at a cheaper cost because of the fact that they didn't have the commercials. But now, because that streaming services, that money making model is not viable on a long run, because you're going to only get so many subscribers. Hey, I just hollered your name. You're not going to get so many subscribers, only so many subscribers. Now they're going back to the advertisers to get the money, so you're paying a high price not only for the advertisers, but you're also paying for the streaming service. So here you are, if it's particularly like if you're somebody that reviews shows. I'm finding the situation is, I'm not going to go get, you want to review a show on Peacock, you got to get a subscription for Peacock. You got a show that you're reviewing that's only on Paramount, you got to get Paramount. You got a show that is only on Warner Brothers or HBO Max, you got to get HBO Max. You want to see a show coming off of Disney, you got to get the Disney Hulu, Disney or Hulu bundle now. And so that's four right there. And so even if you had Hulu or any of these, or what's the name of that YouTube TV and all of these things, Sling TV, even if you had those things, even if you wanted the HBOs, even if you wanted the Cinemax and the Stars, those are add-on costs now. So you're looking to be paying anywhere from $300 to almost $250 to $300 if you had all of those streaming services. And so, everything is just getting expensive, and you're not getting, in my opinion, what you're paying for. And if you are someone like me that reviews, you've got to weigh in the cost, because again, these things get expensive. So a lot of times you you may not be able to review a show when you want to review the show, because again, everything is just so expensive. Everything is just so expensive at this point. So I am concerned about 2 and 3 and 4 people owning all the media in the United States. And I think at some point we've got to, as Americans, we've got to, again, because racism and sexism and all these isms are expensive, and it's not leading us anywhere. But to to hell in a handbasket, as the phrase goes. And so we really and truly need to really try to turn the tide on this, because it's getting, why is these 5 or 6 people wanting to control media? He don't even look like, even if we're talking about shows or anything, he doesn't look like he is anybody that knows anything about a good show. Pop stars clashing with the White House. Let's see, Sabrina Carpenter, I don't remember that. SZA, she says that the White House was rage baiting artists for free promo, after it used her track Big Boy in a similar fashion. So that is NBC. I'm going to go really quickly to go through what Brendan Morrow from USA Today, what he talked about as defining moments in pop culture. He talked about the Kendrick Lamar halftime show, Late Night in Crisis, Jimmy Kimmel suspended and Colbert canceled. And I forgot to mention Stephen Colbert and all of those folks at late night. Uh, I think the Daily Show, out of all of them, was the show that had the pulse upon how to do all of this. And what I mean by that is they would do the show and then they would put clips online so that you could see the show on YouTube, so they could do that. I don't think that the Colbert Show really caught up with that. And so that's, to me, that's what was happening. They didn't catch up with that. They weren't really working. They weren't really. They were still operating as in, like, in the early 2000s, instead of operating from a level of, of how media is being consumed in 2025. And so I think that that killed their show, and their show was probably in a show that cost a lot of money to produce, and then they weren't getting the feedback and the advertisements that they were used to getting. And again, they would have made a lot of money had they paid attention and put these clips online. I don't think people understand the importance of being social media savvy and getting your information out there, and not only getting your information out there, but getting your information out there at a point where people can see it quickly, because people consume so much internet in bites, and how quickly they consume these internet information. What do they call it? Exactly. Exactly. Because you can get that information out. You can go live in in 5 minutes. Because you all know how I do. I'd rather go live than to try to set up and try to get this thing and do all the I'll do the thumbnail later. I'll do all of that. But yeah, you know, they got to be quicker than that. And that is the reason, to me, why a lot of these people are trying to, if you've watched this show at the top of this hour, you understand what I'm saying, because I'm not going to repeat it. But you clearly understand that there are people and there are governments, one particular government outside of the United States government, that is working to control what people of the United States of America see, hear, and do. So, again, I think all of this stuff was an excuse, but they really and truly are trying to control what we hear, what we think, and then give us this mind numbing stuff. And so it's very important for social media, independent media is very, very important at this time. I'm going to do, because after this live, I'm going, when I finish this live, about an hour later, I'm going to do another live, because we're going to be talking about what's going on up there at Somalia. And like I said, I mean, in Somalia, well, you might as well call it that, in Minnesota, about what's going on with the Somalians and this scam, because there's more stuff coming on. I learned some stuff this weekend that I definitely want to talk about. So I'll be doing another live today to go over that. Let's see what else he talked about. Sean Diddy Combs, Katy Perry and them going off to space, Taylor Swift and Chelsea get engaged, a new Superman. What did y'all think about the new Superman? Because I think about it. I watched that whole Superman movie, and I watched it twice. I watched it once, and then I think I watched it with my nephew, and I can't really remember a whole lot of stuff other than what was in the trailer with the super dog jumping on him and stuff like that, and Supergirl coming in drunk. Uh, but shout out to him. I hope that James Gunn. I know he is wanting to bring back hope and all this feel goodsy stuff about Superman. I wish him well on his endeavors, but I can't remember the movie like that. I guess I got to watch it again. K-pop Demon Hunters. I talked about that. Gen Z turns a Minecraft movie into a modern Rocky horror. Movie theater employees won't soon forget the weekend of April 4th when legions of kids and teens turned their workplaces into a popcorn-filled war zone. As a Minecraft movie hit theaters, young fans of the video games treated it less like a film and more like an interactive social event by screaming and tossing popcorn in the air doing the chicken jockey scene, which became a meme before the movie was even out. This is likely what propelled Minecraft into a $1 billion at the global box office. And I have said it time and time and time again. If movie theaters want to revive themselves, they gonna have to close down for 1 month. And this stuff that we were talking about, movies are gonna have to be as interactive as possible. I like movies. Okay, so I live in Alabama. In Alabama, there's Birmingham. And in Birmingham, there's this place called the McSwain Center. And then this McSwain Center has an IMAX theater. But it's an interactive IMAX theater where the movie seats move and all this other stuff, and it may have an innocuous movie on there about space or about a roller coaster. But you feel like you're in space and you feel like you're in the roller coaster because the way all the moving and swaying. I think that if theaters want to really, truly stay in business, they're gonna have to take it up a notch. And this reminded me that you would. So all of these like superhero movies and all of these different things, wouldn't it be nice to have a POV moment? So if so Spider-Man is swinging through the thing, wouldn't it be great to have a POV moment where you're looking where Spider-Man is going to go and you see him with the little web slingers and your seat is moving to the jump of doing that? I think that it being interactive like that would be great. Now, I don't know how the interactive in the seats moving go along with eating popcorn and stuff like that, because I know at the McSwain Center you couldn't eat in the movie theater. So maybe they can have like a cafe thing in the beginning of the movie. Say that the movie gonna start at 12. You got to get there to at 11:15, 11:30, or you can just walk in and have like a big moment where you could eat or something like that. I don't know. They can work that out. I don't know why they can't cover all of the gadgets and stuff like that so you can do that. But I think that movie theaters, because look at this, Minecraft went to $1 billion, and it was just them being interactive themselves. And I know that the people didn't want to clean up all that popcorn. However, I think movies need to be as interactive as they can, so that they they can be as interactive as they can to bring people in, because people now want an experience. Not only do they want to watch the movie, they want to experience the movie. So I think that that's something that they can think of. I know some theaters, they got the lounging seats, and then, in some theaters they have it where you can literally lay down like you're in a bed and stuff like that. I don't want that. I want an interactive experience. I want a POV moment where I'm acting like I feel like I'm Spider-Man. I feel like I'm Iron Man. I feel like I'm Thor jumping up in the air and then looking down and how far. Yeah, would be great. I'm telling you, that would be great. Some folks might get sick. But it would be great. They got to make it IMAX and 40. Yes. Yes, all the theaters. And I would be okay with, how they have these megaplexes with all of these little itty bitty theaters and stuff like that. You can have that on one side of the theater complex. And so those theaters where you know you're not going to have but 30 or 40 or 50 or maybe 60 to 100 people in there, that's cool. But you need to have at least 3 or 4 big theaters that's holding 100 and 200 people with all the beautiful movable seats and stuff like that, IMAX and stuff, where you can sit up high or whatever. And I mean vertically high, because at the McSwain Center, you sit up high. You can sit up high all the way down to a certain level of low seat. But wherever it is, if you sit up high, but right at the middle, you get the best experience, in my opinion. Because, like I said, we watched a 15-minute roller coaster movie, and honey, I was sick and loved it at the same time. But yes, they definitely are going to have to make this an experience, and 40X and IMAX and all of that stuff. Can you imagine the experience? Because I know Blue, I know you and Mika and Dre, y'all love a good horror movie. Can you imagine a horror movie and from the point of view from the person being chased and the person that's chasing? Oh, that would be great. But they got to get into it. South Park goes nuclear and President Trump. Yeah, they pretty much have the same moments. They have the same moments. So we're going to stop there. All right, people. We've gone over again. I want to go over quickly what we've gone over today. And remember, as you all are coming in, make sure that you all are hitting that like button and subscribe. I really do appreciate this. Also, please make sure that you're subscribing to my second channel, which is PETV_reacts. I'm trying to make sure that I get 200 people over there because I need that amount so that I can go live on that channel. Again, it is PETV_reacts. I will be doing all of my movie and television reviews over there. So I want you all to come over and join me. We're going to have a really good time. If I have the ability to go live, we will do those movie reviews or TV reviews, television series reviews live as it's happening, and chit chat and go through it as it's happening and have a good old time. Again, Anthony Joshua was in a car accident in Lagos, Nigeria. In the terms of that accident, 2 people were unalived. He has gotten away with minor injuries, so we do good healing to him. Also, we went over the petition to get Nicki Minaj deported. Are you all signing the petition? I could care less about her. The only reason that she aggravates me is because a lot of people come over and they want to say that they are working on Black American issues when they're immigrants, and our issues are different. How we interact in this country is different. So I don't like for her to go and try to claim that she's doing anything for Black Americans. Are y'all going to be watching the A Different World reboot? We see that Kadeem Hardison, Jasmine Garai, Cree Summers, and Daryl Bell are going to come back, and they're going to reprise their roles over there. Are y'all looking forward to that Netflix show? They're going to start with 10 episodes. And lastly, we did the year in review. We talked about all the things that happened this year. Did something happen this year that I didn't talk about that was important to you all, or it gave you pause for the cause? Put that down in the description box. I'll put that down in the comment section below. All right, people, we do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all, please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.